Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a quirky style truck racing game by the name of Art Camion. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, you'll have to excuse me because I don't speak Japanese, so I don't want to butcher the name. But I kind of came across this game recently as playing through a lot of Japanese style games. I'm currently in the process of actually trying to explore a lot of these quirky style racing games, and this was something that came up that actually looked a lot different compared to what I'm used to actually seeing. And having played it, it actually is a decent enough title. It is fairly straightforward. It's not like your conventional type of racing game where you're racing around tracks and so forth. This one you're actually racing on likes of highways or motorways, and your objective is to get to the end point in the allotted time, but you also have to race against likes of a rival or a competitor. There's always someone there that you're racing against, and you have to actually beat them towards the finish line. But along the way you do have to avoid like oncoming traffic and so forth to make sure that you can get there within the time frame, so that you can gain momentum and keep the level of speed so that you can reach the finish line before your rival. One thing to note with the likes of the trucks in the game compared to the likes of most other racing games, when you're using the directional pads or D-pads when you're pressing like left and right to steer, this game doesn't really use that as such. To a certain degree, yes, you can move left and right, but in order for you to direct the truck in this here, you can't move freely on the likes of the road or the track. What you actually have to do is you press the direction button to the right once to turn on like an indicator, and then you press it again to move the truck to whichever lane you want to go on to, and you can only kind of like shift to the lanes in kind of like a segmented kind of fashion. It's very kind of like slow, but it does actually work for the style of game that it actually is. Funnily enough, if you do see and play a lot of modern style games on the likes of mobile devices, you can see a lot of those type of games, especially where they're kind of linear track based games where you have to reach the end point without crashing, but you are limited in terms of your movement, where you can move left and right to try and dodge traffic. This is an early take on that. It's very similar to those type of games, which in a lot of ways is quite unusual for a game that was actually released back in 1999, over 20 years ago. But again, I suppose when you look at modern games, they obviously got ideas from games like this because it uses a very similar control style. The game actually graphically is actually quite good, and the trucks themselves, you can actually gain and reach a high level of speed on the trucks. Now, starting off in the game, from what I've played of it so far, you start off like with a bog standard truck, and it wouldn't be as quick as some of the other trucks. Like, say, obviously you have to progress through the campaign and you will unlock like extra features, and you can unlock more parts and add upgrades. There's not much information based on the game from what I've been able to find online. Virtually there's actually no information really about the game at all. But the one thing I've kind of been able to figure out from what I have seen, even watching like other YouTube videos and even kind of going into kind of some of the ideas behind these type of trucks, from what I have been able to find just through searching through Google, is a lot of these trucks, they're kind of like customized trucks, or in Japan they're known as decoration trucks, mainly known as Dekotora, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's when I've been able to actually find out. So essentially what these trucks are, they're primarily used by custom like fans that love to mod their type of trucks, and they mod them with any type of materials or extravagant kind of assets that they can actually find, but they want to make it their own. It's the same like when you're modifying a car. You will always add like different types of exhausts and neon lights, and it's kind of like Fast and the Furious only with trucks. And in Japan it is actually a big culture and a very popular culture to be able to modify trucks to pretty much kind of like have a transformer kind of style vibe to them. That's pretty much, from what I've been able to gather, where they kind of get their aesthetic and the idea from, because a lot of these trucks are based heavily on the likes of and are heavily influenced by the likes of the Gundam franchise that's massive in Japan, likes of the robot mech warrior type kind of cartoons and series and so forth. There are a lot of other games like that on the PlayStation and even in modern consoles and so forth, so it's definitely a big thing in Japan. So the idea behind the trucks definitely relates to that. From what I actually have played of it so far, it is actually fun and it's quirky, it's definitely different, but I will be honest, from having spent a bit of time with it, it can get a little bit on the repetitive side after a while, because even though the races, like, they are quite engaging, but the races do go on for quite a long time. So they do, and can definitely kind of leave you feeling a little bit bored after a while, because you're just racing on the same kind of track or laneway throughout the entirety of the race, which is fine and all. Like, the graphics are actually really good, and you can gain quite a significant amount of speed on the likes of the roads and so forth. Ducking and weaving in and out of traffic can be quite fun. You do have to watch when to turn and which lanes to choose, and again, the difficulty does increase with each level that you actually play through, and especially when you upgrade your truck and so forth. So there's definitely quite an element here, but again, it is very linear in terms of what it does offer. But if you want to play something quirky and a little bit different, this might be a game worth looking into, especially if you're into the likes of trucks, or even just customized kind of like aesthetics and that, something a little bit different. This may be worth something looking into. But if you'd love to see more of these quirky style racing games that were released on the PlayStation, then make sure to leave a like on the video. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated whenever future videos are released, as I am going to be exploring a lot more of these unusual and unique style of games that were released in Japan only on the PlayStation, and I'm going to share my experiences and thoughts with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.